Oh, hi.
Hello.
What's cool is I can actually run audio into the camera, so now everything is going to be sunk. So there's actually 2 bits of audio recording right now. It's fantastic.
2 bits of audio. Yeah.
Ah, yeah.
Hoopla.
Hey, Google.
Hey, Google.
Put on Thrift Shop by Macklemore.
Should I still play that on the shop?
Yes!
Alright, Thrift Shop explicit from YouTube Music. Playing on the shop.
Oh, snap.
Not explicit. What? Oh, crap. I just screwed that up. Yeah. Do.
Hey, Google! Stop playing music. I really needed that. I might do more of that later.
Hey, Google. Play the clean version of Thrift Shop.
Should I still play that on the shop?
Yes.
Would you like me to play that on the shop?
Yes. Yes.
Sure, Thrift Shop feed. One's from YouTube Music. Playing on the shop.
There we go.
Wait.
I wish I had some more. Just throw out dollars.
The 20's not even on camera because it's way up here.
It's like way up there. You gotta keep it like large. We could do this all day. We're not gonna. Oh, it's kind of sad, actually. That line in that song. Hey, Google. Hey, Google. Oh. Hey, Google. Stop playing music.
We gotta talk and
We gotta
stuff.
talk about stuff.
People are gonna listen.
Well, really the most important part of this whole thing was recorded, so you don't even need to worry about all that now. Cool. Okay. So it's been a really long week
For
for
who?
whatever reason. It's been for me. I don't know why. I said I blamed it on the keto, but I haven't had any coffee this week or any caffeine this week, I think. Or maybe one, and then the rest of the week I've been pretty consistent about eating and whatnot. Sleep's been crap. That's one other thing. But in the midst of all of that, I dropped the ball on a couple of things, and then I get in my head and I get spun around in circles, which brings us to today's topic. So graceful. And I'd originally had 3 ways you know an order is ready. And the subheading is how to keep from getting trapped by perfection. But there is a bonus, FYI. So for those of you that stick around towards the end of the longer version of this, you get the bonus. Otherwise, you get the shorter version. if you happen to be on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to the channel so you can stay up to date with them as we drop them every week. And make sure that when you do, you hit the so you can be informed of whenever we drop these videos. So, perfection. As I was saying earlier, I kind of wanted to make this a bridge because you're definitely more consistently operational in your business day to day. I'm still kind of in that initial thrust phase, of Echelon Media. So everything that I do could be the right thing, but that ends up making me stuck in my head because I then end up not executing and delivering on anything sometimes. And so what I've noticed throughout this week is as we've gone past the honeymoon phase of what we've been doing and get more into the daily stuff, shit just gets done and consistently. And
Gotta keep the ball rolling.
the overall thing that I've come to realize is there's a system, and so I kind of wanted to crack into what that system is, and we'll just do the quick 1, 2, 3, and that'll be for the Facebooks, and then everybody else who doesn't want to watch doesn't get the bonus towards the end.
Suckers.
But so, point number 1.
So it's the initial interaction with the client, digging into what they're trying to accomplish,
Okay.
the look that they're going for, the design specifics, color, layout, depending on what it's going on. There's, a lot of different options of how things can be presented.
Cool.
Um,
Yeah, that's number 1.
and really just digging in.
Cool. And then number 2, as you've got that.
Going ahead and creating the designs, whether it's creating the embroidery files or creating the proofs of how the screen printing or heat printing will look like on the chosen apparel.
Yeah. Do you have the Brit one? Do you think he'd be cool with showing that one?
Which one?
For the Brit? The
Oh,
proof?
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, here it is. So by
Well,
proof.
and we can even talk about the other proofs that came out.
Yeah. So for the quickie version, this is the proof.
That's the latest proof.
Yeah, this is the final, I would say.
Well, yeah, that's the one I actually promoted as the final.
Cool.
The
And then we'll dig a little deeper.
the first couple,
Yeah. Not so good.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's fine. It just, things are kind of doing what embroidery thread does and pulling in the wrong areas.
Yeah. So it's a process.
So it's going back and fixing things and till we get something that I deem worthy to show the client.
Cool. And then the next step is the point number 3, which is
The production and the quality control. Making sure that as things are running, that they're running the way they should. Not necessarily sitting there and watching every single one that comes off.
every stitch.
Because really, if the first couple are going fine, the rest of them should go fine.
Yeah.
But it's still keeping your eyes on what's going on, making sure that the tensions on the back are still matching up if you're doing embroidery. If you're doing screen printing, making sure that the checks that we have to make sure things are aligned aren't getting budged and moved as you go along.
And that's it, I
And
think.
yeah, just putting yourself in the shoes of the client as you're going along, saying, will this pass the client test? If I was my client, would I approve?
Cool. And if you happen to approve, go ahead and subscribe to the Company Outfitter Say It With Stitches YouTube channel and make sure that you hit so you stay up to date with the videos as they come out every week. So that's the short version. Now for those of you that actually decided to stick around, we're gonna go a little bit deeper into these systems, and we've got a little bonus towards the end because you're so cool and you decided to stick around. So to go a little bit deeper into each of those 3 points, the first point was to, as you have it written down, discuss the client goals and desires. And to me, what this is, I think the most important thing throughout this whole process is communication and really developing an understanding of what the client's trying to develop and create.
Communication and honesty, it's the whole, what do you expect when you are trying to get a service out of somebody else? you
Yeah.
know? It's that whole do unto others as you would have done to you.
Yeah.
So taking that as a core helps promote the decisions of the process.
Yeah.
But as far as discussing the client goals, it's really digging into what's important to them.
Yeah.
Is quality the thing, or are they just trying to, throw something together?
Quality is always critical and is also balanced with,
For most people.
yeah.
And the people that just want it thrown together,
Yeah.
they generally
That's a
aren't.
good point.
They generally aren't the fit here,
Yeah.
because being the perfectionist I tried to be, aspire to be, and sometimes am, to a fault. I'm going to expect my clients to really appreciate the quality that I
Yeah.
put into things.
And that's important because, I mean, you want to put your utmost into every piece, and you want to make sure that they actually get, I mean, this is a representation of your work. So if people see that and they see that it's good, then obviously it's gonna go over a lot better. Cool.
Yeah.
And I mean, there are places, and people try to ask based on price a lot. They try to figure out, like how much is this going to cost? But really, it's like you really don't cater to people like that.
No.
And sometimes they're willing to budge. Sometimes.
It
If
all
they-
depends on the project.
When they
With
understand.
anything, some budgets can be slighter if the work is easier. But there has to be a justification for the discount on price.
Yeah.
Whether it's the quantity of the order, or the intention for the order. Sometimes that comes
Well,
into play too.
Yeah, well, what goes into it? Because I think a lot of people come in here and they want like this big piece, and they think they're going to put their phone number on there, they're going to put their address, they're going to put all these things on there. And part of the conversation that you tend to have is to actually scale that down and go, like, realistically, this is what this is intended to do. All these other things are just extras, and it's adding to the cost of the entire thing. So you do have the customers, you do
Best
have
interest at heart.
interest at heart, yeah. So then the next step, now that you've got sort of those details sorted out, and you can move on to the next step of actually creating something that they can see, that's the proof and the approval. So what does that entail?
Well, 9 times out of 10, I try and submit something that is good enough to get the initial approval. There are occasionally room for changes, depending on, again, what the goal is.
Yeah.
It's just delivering that piece to say this is what it's going to look like before we put it on all your items.
So just to kind of backtrack, how long, what's the average time usually for the first step, the conversation between you and the client, to establish what's going to go into the proof for step 2? 1 to 2 days, 1 day?
Generally, we hammer out the idea of what the client wants before we move into the approval. So that can really just be the 30-minute initial consultation that we do. Or that could be over the course of a few emails and trying to get the idea of what that client really wants.
Okay.
Sometimes it's the conversation of, like for screen printing and heat printing, how many colors are in the design. And the more colors that are in the design, the more complicated / more expensive it gets. So, sometimes we've got to scale that back too.
That's true, yeah.
So once we have a pretty general idea of what is wanted as the end result, then we can move into the interpretation of that with the proofs and creating the embroidery files and creating how the apparel may look once it's all created.
And that usually goes pretty quickly.
Generally,
Just a few
I
tweaks.
mean, within 24 to 48 hours,
Okay.
I need to know the approval, otherwise the order is going to keep getting
Yeah.
pushed back.
Yeah, I think the longest part of it between all the emails and phone calls is probably step one. And that's, I would say maybe an average of a week, if that.
I mean, even less than that, yeah.
Yeah.
From the time that we've moved on to creating the proofs, though, that's generally a 2-day window.
Yeah.
For me saying, okay, I'm ready to start creating your files and your proofs, 2 days later, I'll have them to you for review and approval. I give them 24 to 48 hours to get back to me, 1 to 2 business days. And then we move into either fixing whatever needs to be fixed or changed,
Cool.
and then go right into production.
Cool. And now we get into production, which is step 3. I mean, there's not really a whole lot to talk about when it comes to production other than making sure, like you said, the first few pieces are good to go. And then everything following that, as long as the machines are set up and maintained, everything is in its right place.
Tends to be a repetitive motion.
Yeah, it's just the same thing over and over again. And then through the process and a little bit afterwards, if there's any literally snags along the way, we'll kind of notice if that affects quality at all and if we'll make the necessary adjustments.
Well, and your eyes are on the product several steps during the production process.
Unless you're just really negligent.
Ugh,
Hashtag don't Dan it.
yeah.
Because lasers. Because lasers and cancer gas.
Oh, Dan. So yeah, once that's all done and you've gone through the order, counted everything, made sure everything's in the right place, then it's time to contact the client and say, hey, your stuff's ready.
Yeah.
And
then-
when they come pick it up, I make sure that they have time to take a look at it,
Yeah.
and give me all their praises.
Yeah.
If it ships out, I'd follow up with an email or a call saying,
Yeah.
hey, it looks like you received the product. Have you had time to take a look at it? How's everything working out for you? Would you give me a review on Google?
That touches back on the communication. I think that's the important thing, is just there's always the constant communication that actually gets the whole notion of perfection out of the whole picture. Because the problem is writer's block and perfection usually comes from your own thoughts and ideas of how this should come together, and it's not a reflection of reality. And that communication between you and the client is more a reflection of what the expectation is for this project. You kind of have that noted here about showing the design for the client, and that really is what it is. So the tricky part would say, what I do sometimes is just I'm sitting there and we'll create a vision to a certain extent, but then there is that creative freedom that kind of becomes a bit of a bear, and it turns into a curse sometimes, because you can drag on the whole creative process for so long.
Well, it's because you're involved in that creative process.
And there's a lot of your pride.
And so when there's little adjustments on things that more than likely only you will ever notice,
Yes.
and they're going to drive you nuts,
Yes.
you really have to take yourself out of that
Yes,
process.
yes.
My most common way of doing that is, like I showed you. Does this look right to you? If you saw this completely,
Unbiased.
unbiased, unobjective opinion,
Yeah,
what are your thoughts?
yeah.
Um,
Without any prior exposure to it. That's a really good point. And that's why it really does come down to the conversation with the client. And then ultimately, you build up a track record. Because you've been doing this for 5 years. Granted, really, it's only been the last maybe 2.5 to 3 years of real, consistent operational stuff. Because the first 2 years we're kind of getting into it.
the operation's still running pretty.
Oh, even
I mean,
from day one.
Yeah, because I picked up an existing business,
Oh, yeah,
so you know things were still
There was
a daily basis, really.
Okay. So you're learning as you went.
But business has definitely picked up as I've gone along, and definitely in the past couple of years.
And that would be to kind of put off that whole notion of perfection and your own insecurities about whether or not your work is good enough. That would be another way to sort of just allay those concerns, because obviously people are coming back to you. People are wanting to do business with you. If you look at the numbers, you're growing. You're now here after 5 years. It's a 6-figure business. I like to throw that. I like to throw that in, but it's true. It really does seem that the building is relatively unassuming, but I mean, to get to that level, especially
just to create, cross that threshold.
Yeah. So that is a big deal.
Yeah.
So I mean, even though I say it as a joke, all of these things, this and so many other elements, are what make this whole thing move along. And it's something that I have to remind myself. And that was the reason why I brought up this whole topic, is because I do get stuck in my head sometimes, and the concerns and frustrations of the rest of life, sort of start to affect the work that you're doing. And it really like you said, you just have to remove yourself from that picture, because the colors could always be better, could be more vibrant. There could be one less wrinkle in the material, any number of things.
And the closer you are to it, the more you're going to pick it apart.
Oh yeah, that's just what it is. But you got to get it out the door, because the other pressure on you is you got to make money. You got to keep the lights on. You got to keep
I got to keep my clients satisfied and happy, and with the things that they paid for.
Cool. Yeah. Is there anything else to add?
No, I think we covered it. Yeah.
That was pretty succinct.
Yeah.
And so, with all of that, if you happen to have any questions, by all means, go ahead and shoot us either a message. We'd actually prefer the messages, especially if you happen to be like starting along as a business.
Yeah.
Either myself or Zach are open to those conversations, and actually you're in the process of helping someone along with kind of learning this process on their own. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And so if you're like considering getting into this industry or anything else where it's creative and you have to keep a business running, Zach would actually be a great resource to tap into. If you like this and you happen to be watching this on the YouTube channel, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, thoughts, ideas, whatever you happen to have that you'd like to throw our way, by all means go ahead and put that in the comment section below. And of course, if you really like this, go ahead and subscribe and make sure you hit that notification so you stay up to date with the videos as they come out every single week. You get to see our silly mugs. Yeah, go ahead and reach out to Zach, reach out to me if you have any questions about this stuff, because that's kind of the whole point, is to have a discussion with you as you're watching this. And what else? Oh, like the page, so that you stay up to date with these videos as they come out every week. As always, my name is Mark with Echelon Media.
Zachary Davey, say it with stitches.
This has been another episode of Between the Seams. Goodbye.